Andrew Malcolm here from Mortgage HQ, and today we're going to talk about whether you should buy, if you're looking at investment properties, close to your house, or whether you should start thinking about buying somewhere a bit further afield where maybe you got a little bit less knowledge and you know that you're not going to be able to manage the property yourself. So what should we do when we're trying to make a decision like this is we should create some pros and cons lists, one for close to home, the other one for a bit further afield. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go through the pros and cons of each of those, and then you can start making those decisions for yourself. So if you're looking to buy an investment property thinking, hey, maybe I should buy something close to home because my market knowledge is better, it's going to be a lot more convenient to go to the open homes, then you might be onto something. When I do talk to potential property investors, I say, hey, look, do you have a budget that suits where you live? Now the reason I say that is because a lot of the reason people don't buy investment properties is because they don't have much time and they don't like going to open homes. So if you're thinking, all right, I got a 20-kilometer radius around my house, and you set your listing search up for just that radius, then what you're going to do is you're going to start getting listings that are in your area and that is going to be super convenient. That firstly you can self-manage, and secondly going to the open homes is going to be really easy. On the flip side of that, you might have some negative bias on some streets. You might get a bit too emotional, or you might pay too much for a certain property because you think it's actually better than maybe the fundamentals suggest. So when you're comparing the pros and cons of buying close to home, you really got to make that assessment of whether you're going to be somebody that wants to do DIY repairs, whether you want to keep really conscious of keeping costs at a minimum, and whether you actually want to be doing interviewing tenants yourself, and whether you think, all right, I understand the neighborhood and it'll be just silly for me to not buy in the area that I understand the most. You're going to weigh those pros against the negative things. You might have some negative bias against the streets that actually fundamentally they're good investments. If you're buying close to home and self-managing, it might be time consuming. Self-managing risks are getting even more, you got to be conscious of them with healthy homes, disputes, just being a property manager, having done some property management for my own properties. It's not always easy, and there's going to be things that you need to get fixed, and calls and emails at times that you don't want to deal with things. So that's why having a property manager, even for a property that's close to you, might actually make sense. Having said that, I have seen a lot of people that want to buy a house close to them and they ignore fundamentals. They buy properties that don't cash flow well, maybe they don't have good capital gains, they don't have room for much improvement. So they're not actually really good investment properties. They're just close to people, so they think they're good properties to buy. So you're essentially doubling your risk on the location by buying somewhere close to your house. Whereas if you had a house, say in Henderson and a house in Mandurriwa, if one of those areas goes up and the other one goes down, you've split your risk. But if you've got two properties in Otahu, maybe there's a lot more crime, maybe the schools go down, but you're doubling up on that negative in the same area. So just a lot of pros and cons to consider when buying close to home. Let's talk about if you're buying a house that is not close to home. So if you're buying an investment property and it's not close to your house, then what you're going to more likely do is treat it purely as an investment and as a business. Then you're going to have more focus on the numbers. You're probably going to have to get a property manager if the property is not close, and there are laws around that, around certain proximity and time that you need to be able to react to things. Now you have to understand that your market knowledge when you're buying in areas that is not close to you. You're probably not going to have the same market knowledge as the locals. It is going to be less convenient. You are going to have to trust others. You have to trust agents, property managers. You're going to have to trust the listings. You're going to have to rely on potentially not viewing the property, and if you do view it, then you might ever only see it one time. So you're probably on the flip side of that, with those negatives in mind, going to be buying way more on fundamental investment things. So cash flow, capital gains, like location. You might buy something that needs quite a bit of work and you're managing those renovations or paying someone to manage the renovations for you, and that's how you're going to get your gain. The benefit of buying somewhere that's not close to where you are is you're splitting your location risk. For example, there's a lot of talk about Auckland being hyped up at the moment and Christchurch being at the bottom of what's going to be a new value in the next 3 to 5 years. Some people are looking to buy more properties in Christchurch as an example. Whether that's a good idea or not, you need to understand the fundamentals, trust the numbers, and trust the people you're working with. Sometimes when you're not buying close to home, it's actually quite hard because there's so many options to choose from, you don't know where to start. So if you are looking to buy that's in an area that's not close to where you live, I suggest you start really specifically on certain areas, niche down quite a bit, or with your criteria on TradeMe and realestate.co.nz, be super specific so that you're not getting 100 new listings every week. Ideally you're getting 10 to 20, something that you can manage and you can make lots of offers. So as you can see, at a high level, there's pros and cons for buying close and for buying far away. You got to weigh it up, do your own list. And I know when I was doing my list, I got a lot of pros in the buying close to home corner, simply because I like to have a closer look, and I believe the areas that I'm looking that are close to home are going to meet those fundamentals as well. So hit subscribe, put some comments if you've got questions, and happy to help you assess for yourself whether buying close to home or further afield is better for you.